Wait, it's all Watch Dogs? Yeah. It always has been. October 29th, 2020, the day that I and many other people will disappear off the face of the earth to indulge on a game that we'll probably beat in a matter of days and still play it afterwards because we have no life. As of July 12th, Ubisoft showcased a few games that will be released for both this year and early 2021 at the Ubisoft Forward event. One of them is of course the third installment of the Watch Dogs series, and thanks to the gorgeous gameplay that we've been given, I'm ready to dive in on what's new and what we can expect in the near future. Just a heads up though that most channels have been given access to play Legion a bit earlier than others, and while I've seen the gameplay for myself, I'd rather keep this to a minimum and spoiler free as to what I've saw, and just wait until I have my own copy of the game to form an actual opinion over it, instead of having to use other people's footage for my own gain. If you like to see the content however, I'll be sure to post a few of them in the description below. But other than that, let's go ahead and get started. From the get-go, a lot of shit goes from 0 to 100 real quick. The protests, the explosions, the combat drones that are obviously over-equipped with nothing but material that's capable of pure destruction, and members of a private militia that loves to abuse their power. Both they and the new hardware that they have available are all a part of Albion, the name of the private military organization led by Nigel Cast, a dictator-like antagonist who has no problem with offing his own associates to prove a point in the name of law and order. The equipment that Albion has so far is kinda decent more or less with their light machine guns and available tech. The combat drones however are a different story. We can already assume that these little bastards are going to be the death of us both figuratively and very literally. Going to go on a limb here and say that they're going to be hard to take out unless we can actually take them over and take over their functions for our own personal use. I can only imagine what kind of bullshit other players will pull off with this when, the game comes out. If any, they kind of remind me of that one military group in the Division 2 with their own supply of equipment that they use to terrorize the District of Columbia with, and for those who played the game, you already know what to expect. They seem to be way more organized than the Humani Corporation in San Francisco or any other gangs in the previous installments. The British Karen over here, Mary Kelly, and her crime syndicate seem to also have their shit straightened up, but that's what happens when you're a part of the criminal underworld. They're oddly reminiscent of the Chicago South Club that Lucky Quinn was over in regards to the project that they ran, the biggest operation being human trafficking. It seems as though both organizations are probably using the C2S system to their advantage, just like the previous antagonists have done as well. In combination with the high-grade equipment and weaponry that they both have at their disposal, they're bound to be a nuisance in the end, but all the more better once we were able to get rid of them. The main part that I think most of you are probably interested in is seeing the system that allows for you to recruit other members into your group, DedSec, or in this case, the Resistance. From these screenshots, we have a new interface that's different from what we've seen in the first gameplay trailer that was released months ago, as well as the same information that tells us about the character we're currently playing as, which is depicted from their bio, personality, and what their current occupation is. But that's not the best part. What we can also gather from these is that what their characteristics are also like. A few of them we already seen in the past, but there are some new things that you might want to be aware of. These now consist of the abilities, traits, weapon of choice, gadget of choice, personal vehicle, which is something new, non-lethal and or lethal weapons currently equipped, uniform currently equipped for certain areas that we're able to trespass in, and drones and any tech that we are able to use, and so on and so forth. There's still a lot to unpack from this, but just from looking at this, it is gorgeous. The fact that each person that we play as has their own personal melee weapon and firearm is ridiculous in more ways than one. Kind of reminds me about the weapon variety video I made like a month back, and from that, well, Ubisoft is making me eat my own words and I can't say shit about it, but we'll just talk about that in just a moment. When dealing with the opposition, you'll be given different options in regards to each mission that you take a part of, just like any other game would make you do. Based on what we saw, each scenario that we're in will play out differently depending on who you're playing as. For the most part, I'm thinking maybe it'll have something to do with the dialogue, but that's just me. You could go in either loud or proud, which is considered the aggressor playstyle known as the enforcer that allows for you to go in guns blazing. You can also utilize your tech to gain an advantage over your enemies, such as taking over their equipment and using it for your own personal gain. This will fall under the trickster playstyle. Or if you like to avoid any type of confrontation, you can always go in a stealth-like manner without having to deal with any setbacks. Most people will call this Ghost playstyle the Infiltrator. A good example of this is being able to recruit a member of Albion and infiltrate the organization without raising any suspicion. Certain members of the Resistance will have their own uniform, which will allow for you to gain access to certain areas with almost no trouble as long as you're not causing trouble. This consists of construction workers, police officers, or even the Queen's Guard if you're lucky enough to have them tag along. You just have to remember that not everyone is in favor of joining up with DedSec and may despise your organization, so be wary. As far as the weapons go, I've seen them and they're looking pretty good. The only thing I have to say is that, besides the fact that they look good, how will they perform well in the main game is what I'm trying to figure out. But that's something that we'll probably talk about at a later day. From what we saw, each individual has their own set of weapons that fall into categories of non-lethal versus lethal firearms that we saw on the main menu screen. This consists of the light machine guns the members of Albion had equipped, assault rifles that look like a variant of the AK-47 that the Kellys had on them, the G36 assault rifle that one of the Queen's Guards was seen walking with, and many others that we'll get our hands on soon. The paintball gun makes its return from Watch Dogs 2, and to actually see it dominate other people, unsuspecting enemies in Legion is fucking hilarious. And don't even get me started on the nail gun portion of the video. Honestly, I never would have imagined that the nail gun would actually be in this game. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've seen other weapons such as this in other games, whether it be gag weapons or some kind of crap like that, but I just didn't expect to see it just, have someone use it and just start stamping people like we're playing in a game of Manhunt. That is some Danny Glover lethal weapon shit right there, and I'm here for it. The fighting aspect reminds me of the combat in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, since we can actually feel the pressure of when it comes to fighting NPCs and the movesets they have available. It's definitely, drastically different from what we've seen in Watch Dogs 2. Yeah, we could fight people in there, but they barely put up any kind of fight at all. The fight clubs are a good Easter egg of that. We can now dodge and counterattack with not only our fists, but with different melee weapons that each character has available to them, whether it be a pipe wrench, a tactical baton, tasers, bats, or even spray cans. They make their way into the game, which makes me even more happier than I have been before. Variety at its finest, people. Now, there is one portion of the vid that has me conflicted, which is the firefights, and as far as I can tell, they have changed. It has changed. I really can't go off just for the video presentation, but from the way I see it, it looks good. Maybe a bit more better than the firefights that we've dealt with in Watch Dogs 2. And it's not me trying to bring the game down, because it was fun to play and I've had my fair share of fun in it. But looking at it now, I can kind of understand why most people would prefer the firefight combat from the original Watch Dogs, but once again, that's a personal preference, and to each their own is what I would say at this point. Maybe when I get a hold of the game and play for myself, it'll change my perspective. It looks nice is the only thing I can say at the moment, and that's just for the whole game in general. From what I can tell, the game is still a work in progress, and of course they still have to buff a few things out before the game goes gold, so there will be a few things that have changed. I do like the direction that Ubisoft is going with the combat, and it's looking pretty decent so far. I mean, look at the dodge roll. It may not be the most useful thing that most people will use, and I don't expect it to be like the dodge roll mechanic that most players would use and abuse in GTA Online, Destiny 2, or Dolphin Dive mechanic that we used in Red Dead Redemption 2. I just hope that it would be effective to where it's good and balanced, if you get what I mean. Just note that most characters are not capable of using it, so you have to pick your resistance members wisely. It would also mean that most characters may not be suited for head-to-head combat, so once again, choose carefully. It's like choosing a certain type of option that allows for you to basically pick out what your plan is all I can say. And just like with the gadgets, there are certain gadgets that have been from the previous installments in the game, but there is much more variety to it. For example, we saw a smoke screen canister and a paintball gun, not gameplay of it specifically, but for certain characters. And while they look nice, I hope that they would act in a certain kind of manner, whether it be going against regular NPCs or just other players in general, because who knows what kind of experiments that we'll be able to pull off with this stuff. Hopefully, maybe we'll get some kind of incentive and just see a bit more footage later on in the future. There are also certain pieces of equipment that can stun enemy NPCs while dealing with a large crowd or just other people. An example of this would be during the gunfight sections of the main video presentation, as if you look closely, I feel as though it's just like the distraction ability that Marcus was able to use while fighting off different factions during his time in San Francisco, which is also present in Legion. There's much more to it, but once again, when I have my own copy of the game and start playing around with it, then maybe I'll get a feel for it. I've seen the footage from other channels and it looks nice, but there are times when you just have to experiment with it for yourself and see how you prefer it. We have a weapon wheel, of course, and it looks as though the gameplay is paused for a short moment, allowing for us to not only choose our equipment, but also our current ability and to think ahead of time. Something that we did not see in the previous installments, which is actually something I like. But if a random player were to enter our session, I'm pretty sure this would not happen, so that's something that we need to be aware of. Hell, we could use and abuse it just like we would with the focused ability in Watch Dogs whenever someone randomly joins our session and tries to hack us, whatever kind of bullshit they were trying to pull. Also, photo mode is confirmed. Now we can take beautiful pictures of murdering Albion soldiers during our free time. The last part that I want to go over is the various takedown animations that we saw, and as you already know, I am a sucker for this shit, and I have made content over the various takedown animations that have been included in the previous installments. Man, it's just heartwarming because I can already tell that there's going to be a lot of animations. There's a bigger variety of it, whether it's lethal, non-lethal, fist only, stealth only, or with your weapons, I assume, which we've already seen in the past. Gun takedowns, or as what most people will call gun kata, is way more better than what it was in the first Watch Dogs and Bad Blood installments. Not saying that they were bad, they were just awesome, but I guess the Ubisoft decided to take it up a notch and make them much more better than they were before. There's even an ability called gun kata that allows for you to instantly take down an opponent with your preferred weapon of choice. So if you have like a silenced pistol or an assault rifle equipped, or whatever, along with this ability, you can immediately kill someone with little to no effort. I honestly feel as though this ability is reserved for members of DedSec who are considered a professional hitmen, or at least have some good kind of experience with a weapon. Each takedown is flashy in its own way, as in each individual character you play as will have their own style, and I cannot wait to see what's what. You can't tell me that you're not excited to pull off some WWE bullshit on a random security guard, because why not? Go apeshit. But all in all, I am loving what I'm seeing so far, and I cannot wait to see what the team has in store for us in the near future. Hopefully we'll get some more information about the gameplay or just the world in general, as well as online activities and what we expect to see from that. But other than that, despite this being short or long, whatever kind of length it is, I hope you guys enjoy your day. I really do. I'm excited for this, and I hope you guys are as well. Love you all. Have a nice day. Peace.